something you can't fix.
If you can't fix what's broken, you'll go insane.
It's Jay and Adam. It's Preview.
It's Preview's Fix It with Adam and Jay.
Hey, Peaches! Welcome to Fix It, where friends don't let friends fix pop culture alone.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Jay, and you're our listener.
Well, hey there, listeners.
Well, ho there, listeners.
Rawr, rawr, rawr. Listeners?
Okay. All right.
You know that really deep bass growl that like shakes the earth when Godzilla does it? I wasn't actually going to attempt to do that into the mic. So I went comedic.
Okay, yeah.
But know that that is what I was going for.
Man, the roller coaster of your face as you were doing that, you were like, I don't like that I'm doing this. Nope, we're doing this. All right, we'll lean into it. Okay, I guess we got away with it.
We're here now.
Rawr.
Rawr, rawr.
Hey there, listeners. Welcome to Fix It. This is our podcast. I'm Jay. That's Adam. You may know us as the hosts of the wildly popular YouTube reaction channel Previewed.
Hell yeah.
You may also know us from opening the axe throwing franchise by your house.
Ooh.
That's right. Mm-hmm. We're coming to you. It's our axe throwing franchise in Vlasteria. Throwing sharp stuff.
Throwing sharp stuff.
Yeah, man. Just sharp stuff in the air. You can't compare.
Don't catch it.
Don't catch it. Or do if you can. Catch if you dare.
Please don't. I mean, all the lawyers do report to us in this area, but even still, we are liable for that. Please don't. Please don't.
This is our podcast, Fix It, where every week Adam and I take a piece of pop culture that maybe missed the mark, maybe didn't quite get there, maybe just wasn't big enough to destroy the city, and we fix it. And today we are going to be talking / fixing the 1998 American franchise hopeful.
Yep.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
They were really swinging for the fences on this one. And Bowser's with a giant top hat on. They completely missed the mark. Yeah. But before we get into Godzilla 98, we've come to my absolute favorite segment, the segment we start every single one of these episodes. Mm-hmm. You know it. You love it. It's everyone's favorite, too. It's Roll for Convo. Our producer, Brian, who's the best producer in all of the land and also just one mistake away from oblivion, has given us 20 topics of conversation that Adam and I can talk about. And I'm going to roll a 20-sided die, and we're going to see what our opening segment is going to end up being about.
Okay.
Hopefully, it will not divide us as much as Wheels / Doors.
Team Wheels, here we go.
But we'll see. That's another 19.
Wow, you've been rolling high, yeah.
Hot fire. The past
19.
Couple weeks.
Favorite TV show of all time, comedy only.
Comedy only.
This one's tough. There's a lot of very good TV comedies out there.
Now, favorite to me doesn't necessarily indicate best, though.
Sure.
I think this is a personal preference question.
Sure, but there's a lot that have made me laugh a lot.
Yes. I think if I were to actually have to pick a favorite,
Mm-hmm.
I think the best way to think about it in a favorite perspective is like, if you put a gun to my head and said, hey, you have to watch another show right now, like another comedy right now from beginning to end, what show are you picking? I'm not sure why someone would bring a gun into that conversation. But, if it was a life and death situation, I'm going Parks and Rec all day.
Yep.
Parks and Recreation is probably my... and I think it's like the first... I think it's like that show was revolutionary in that it was like the first Hope Corps show that we got. taste of that, like, things can work out and things can go well for your characters and still have it be a funny show.
Oh yeah, plenty of misadventures on the way towards success.
People, because in comedies a lot of times I think comedy writers get bogged down in that, like, oh well, it's them like having to struggle their way through everything that makes it funny, and I'm like, well, that's not necessarily what I'm like. I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, and I can't even stand the first season of Parks and Rec for this very reason.
Yeah, it's not great.
Well, I have a hard time watching The Office.
Yep.
I do not enjoy television that brings that they're like, isn't it so uncomfortable?
It's
isn't
cringe.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how uncomfortable it is? I can sit here and fully admit that the dinner party episode of The Office is a masterpiece of television comedy.
Which one is that?
That's the one where Jim and Pam come over to have dinner at Michael's house when he's living with Jan. And it's like, it's weapons grade uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I can admit that it is masterful screenwriting and masterful television making. I'd never want to see it again. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Like, I always would compare it. I was like, every time I'm watching television on Thursdays, I could feel my sphincter like release when 30 Rock came on after The Office.
30 Rock's a good show too.
Yes, very much so. Very much. Not that first season though.
No.
It's a bad first
season. They
season.
need to find their footing in the second season.
I'm shocked. Like, I am shocked that show made it out of the writer's strike, all things considered, considering how bad their first season was.
Oh, was that show going on during the writer's strike?
The first one.
Oh.
Yeah, remember?
I don't.
Oh, yeah.
That was 08, right?
Yeah, 30 Rock had just started, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But like The Office would be done and I'd be like, oh, okay.
Thank God.
But like Parks and Rec is like the perfect version of that, but it doesn't make me uncomfortable the whole time. So I was like, oh, this is like The Office without the teeth.
Yes.
And some would be like, well, you need the, like, it's, but I'm like, no, I don't. No, I don't. Sometimes I am watching television because I just need to enjoy myself and turn my brain off for a half hour.
Sure.
Like, there's a large swath of America that's like, they get up and go to work and then come home and go through a hellish work day. They
need a break.
They need a break. And I like,
Hi, we're your break.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you for choosing us as your break.
If you're on your lunch break and you're enjoying this podcast right now, all I'm saying is I salute you.
Thank you for being here. We're glad we could help.
You're doing yeoman's work, and it's tough out there, and we appreciate you. Because as someone who who had worked in the service industry for a long time and understands this, like, I'm gonna watch this YouTube video while I eat my family meal, and I don't want anyone to talk to me, because I gotta make peace with the fact with what I'm about to do for 8 hours.
Yeah. I do know.
So yeah, I think Parks and Rec is my favorite show.
That's a very good answer.
Because it makes you laugh and it makes you feel good, but it also makes you feel like everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, all those characters, they're all good people.
Yeah. Yeah, in their own way.
In their own way, they're all
everyone
good
has
people.
a good heart on that show. Like, and I think that show set a precedent for television shows going forward, that it's like, I need to like every single one of your characters. The only show that doesn't follow that and sticks the landing and nails it is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
That's where I was going to go, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to not like that show.
Yeah.
It's
Always Sunny is very, very funny.
But
but those guys are a-holes.
But that show shoots to the moon.
Yes, it does.
In that it makes everyone unlikable.
Yes.
So the likability quotient is null.
Yep.
Like, everyone is terrible. So no one's terrible.
No one's terrible, and they always lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do not win.
They do not.
But it is fun to see them try and to get on their soapboxes about stuff. And then, like, you know what? I see your point. You're not entirely wrong, but I hope you don't win. Oh, good. You didn't win. Fantastic.
Yeah.
You're a bird, D. You're a bird.
If someone tells me that they don't really like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I'm like, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. I understand it is not a binging show. You're not going to sit there and watch like 6 episodes
you
in a
can
row.
maybe do a couple, but
like you need to pump the brakes a little bit because it can be like when with It's Always Sunny, it's like when what Charlie is saying sounds reasonable, you need to watch another show.
You need to stop for a second
because he will get there to a point where you're like, well, okay, and I'm like, no. Kimberly and I we watched through Mythic Quest.
Oh, okay.
Decent show. I will say decent show. Some really good character work on that show.
Mm-hmm.
Not perfect, but good.
Mm-hmm.
There are Cricket is one of the main characters on the show, the actor who plays Cricket.
Yes.
And I just never can.
He's Cricket.
He's Cricket.
He's Cricket. Yes.
And I would always refer to him. I was like, well, Cricket did this. And she's like, who's Cricket again? And I was like, oh,
because Kimberly has not seen Always Sunny.
No. And she hails from the Philadelphia area.
Yes.
And she's like, no, I don't. That's not.
But I mean, that's Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to Philadelphia. I have family in Philadelphia. That's Philadelphia, guys.
I mean, it's an exaggerated version of it,
but not by much.
I mean, you just need to add some Delco accents in there, and you kind of nailed it. Water, car.
Yeah, Always Sunny is
go to
very
Wawa, get a
funny.
hoagie.
Well, especially those earlier episodes.
And they never call anyone a John. Nothing's a John on the show, which they can remedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A John can be many things.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It can be anything. It can be a person. It can be a thing. What are all these Johns?
I've never heard of. Before.
I know. I'm just now getting privy to it in the past couple of years.
Oh wow.
The
Okay.
concept of
Look
a
at you.
John.
Mm-hmm.
It's a John.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right. This is a tough question for me. Because like those early seasons of The Simpsons are.
Yeah.
But you gotta take The Simpsons as a whole, though.
I will say this:
Wait.
even when The Simpsons kind of fell off, it was still better than most things.
That's true.
I mean,
It's
it's
true.
hard to,
Yeah, but it did fall off pretty hard, though.
Yeah.
But
it maintained though, kept going.
It's still going.
That's
It's
insane.
still
to me.
finding it. Yeah, it's still going. Even
That's the thing with that animation; you never need to stop.
The Family Guy, those first few seasons of Family Guy were so right up my alley.
Yeah, they were up everybody's
Man,
alley. That's why that's why it became a phenomenon.
That's why it came back.
Yeah.
Remember when they canceled it and it came back? It fought its way back.
DVD sales brought that show back.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of the few times that's ever happened. And I will say this about Family Guy: I don't necessarily completely adore that show, and I don't necessarily like always stand behind that show comedically.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about Family Guy that a lot of other shows don't necessarily have, every single Family Guy episode will have one really good laugh.
Yeah.
You will like actually laugh out loud, maybe uncontrollably.
Mm-hmm.
It will there is something for everyone in that show comedically. It may be sparse and kind of far in between, but it will get you.
Mm-hmm. I haven't watched the show in a while, though.
No, me neither.
South Park?
Yeah.
I mean, also, again, keeps going.
Yeah.
And keeps the formula going, and apparently still really good.
Yeah, I've been meaning to catch up on South Park. Although I'm not sure I'm not sure where South Park for me has always like politically been kind of like right on the like cutting edge of like they really have like a laser focus on like what's actually going on like from a pop culture perspective. But I will say this, from what I've been like gleaming from like recent South Park is that maybe I'm like, oh, maybe this is kind of like this most recent special that came out with is like really going after Kennedy and the Disney situation.
Oh, I didn't.
In a way that I'm like I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know. I'm not sure because this show has always been right up against the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know.
No, it's well.
So
I mean,
pick one right now, Lashie.
Parks and Rec. There's a lot of. I mean, 30. I haven't seen 30 Rock again in a while, but that irreverent humor, and also that it's behind the scenes of a TV show.
Yeah.
is also right up my alley.
Yeah. Are any classic comedy shows you really like?
Boy, you know what? I didn't really appreciate comedy shows when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I watched them, but
Where
I
does
didn't get them.
Community land in like the grand scheme of things?
It's up there. But I haven't watched Community again in a while.
Yeah.
Because it was so good the first time through.
Yeah.
But then
it was very of its time.
But it was very of its time. And like, especially when Dan Harmon left and things changed, and then also like I loved it. It was a little show that could keep going, but just like when it went to like, remember Yahoo Screens?
Yeah, dude.
Ooh. Oh my god.
Yeah, I watched that whole season.
Oh,
it was not good.
Yikes.
It was not good.
Yikes.
Yeah, on bikes.
Yeah, like when people started leaving, I was like, you know what? I get it. I'm understanding why people are leaving the show now. Like it was really, really, really good.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, it just like, and I think we're done. I think, and it's, you know what? It's okay that we can be done.
Yeah.
So I haven't
$1,000%.
seen it in a while, but yeah, no, I loved Community back in the day. But yeah, I think just for Hope Core and just like you just believe in Leslie, you just believe in her. And you just want her so badly to succeed.
And it was and when they finally like made the choice on how to portray her character better.
Yes.
After that first season, that's a good example of like kind of on how to properly refocus a show.
Mm-hmm. Getting rid of Greg and switching Andy over a little bit, and then
I was
adding
fine. Honestly, I was fine with Greg. It was when they made Leslie not an incompetent doofus, and it was like, no, she's so good at her job, she gets in her own way.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, that was a revolutionary idea.
Yes.
Like for the like kind of show they were trying to make, it was
because it was when that show came out, it was just like, oh, it's just like the sequel to The Office. Oh, okay, I don't have to watch this show. I didn't even watch it until much later on, and then like, oh yeah, this first season of, was it 6 episodes? Like, oh yeah, this is kind of rough, but like, yo, season 2, yo, that kicks. As soon as those I forget their names show up, it's just like, oh yeah. This is.
Oh, as soon as the state auditors or whatever.
Yeah. Ben and
Chris.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better. It doesn't get better than Rob Lowe looking himself in the mirror with the flu and tell him and command himself to stop pooping. Just stop pooping.
Has to tell my hands. So I came up with this new game. Comes with Dunshire.
And
here we go.
Well, Nick Offerman, what a triumph! What a triumph!
I mean, that was the show that, like, yes, gave us Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
Even though he's been around, he was in a episode of The West Wing. Like
I think the best way to describe our vibe is that we are simultaneously Leslie and Ron to each other.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
But it's in constant flux. Like you really don't know which one is which. Because like usually, you know, like you can be the Leslie one that was in like from a shoot schedule perspective, and I'm Ron, and I'm kind of like, oh, we don't have to. Blah, blah, blah. But then you don't tell me what. But then I'm like, we're doing Jeopardy, and you were like, I don't know about this. I think it's a bad idea. We're doing Jeopardy, and it's gonna be the new heat, and I can't wait. Get on board. Oh, all right.
So we landed on Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec. But there's so many good out there. There's so many good shows out there.
That's been everyone's favorite segment. Roll for Convo.
Oh, Roll for Convo's get an outro now?
I sometimes try to.
Oh, look at you.
I'm being good podcast boy.
Look at you being a good podcast boy.
Good podcast boy. Godzilla 1998. Before we get into this movie, we should probably hear from our wonderful producer, Brian, to let us know everything that you need to know about this dumpster fire of a film. Godzilla 1998. And Brian, why don't you roll that beautiful bean fun fact footage?
Thank you, gentlemen, and roar to you too. Today we're trying to fix 1998's Godzilla. Directed by Roland Emmerich, with a screenplay by him and Dean Devlin, this movie stars Matthew Broderick, Hank Azaria, Jean Reno, Maria Pitillo, among many others. Now, this movie cost around $150 million to make, and did end up making money, taking in $379 million at the box office, but was under what it was expected to make. So much went wrong or was wild when it comes to this movie, so here are just a few Bean fun facts. The rights to Godzilla were acquired in the early 1990s from Toho Co., and it went through many iterations before this version, including a Jan de Bont directed movie with Stan Winston doing the effects. Now, Emmerich and Devlin actually signed on to this movie before Independence Day was released. The soundtrack to this movie was a huge hit, going certified platinum. The design of Godzilla was changed because the original, quote, didn't make sense. Also, this one's an iguana, I guess, so I don't know. This production was also very rushed to get it out on Memorial Day in 1998, and it never got a test screening. That's pretty wild. This movie has a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes and an average of a 2.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd, if you care. Anyway, back to you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thanks,
There was a. Yeah, this movie was. Yep. There's a lot. There's a story behind this story.
There's a story behind this story.
Well, there was. Apparently, they had different plans for this movie, and then like they all got chopped, and like they had to go with something else, and there was a whole thing of why this movie turned out the way it did.
Upon rewatching of this film, it's fascinating to me how this movie, I think, if I had to pick one, this might be the most egregious example of Hollywood studios really just trying to artificially create a blockbuster film.
Yes.
Like this got studio noted into the absolute basement.
Mm-hmm. It did.
It's really shocking to watch this movie, and you can see the brushstrokes of being pulled in different directions creatively by whomever, like the powers that be at that time.
Yeah.
Like, and this is like, if you really look at like the structure of this film and like the shot comp and a lot of like what's going on, this is like some old school Hollywood making movie.
They were trying really hard, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. I mean,
this feels like studio film from the
mid 90s.
or it harkens back like earlier to that. It harkens back to like like a Back to the Future, or like you can feel it's on a set kind of vibe in a way that like I didn't remember it that way, and I was kind of shocked by it. And this is also so aggressively pre 9/11. It's not even funny.
It's not even funny.
It's not. It's like it's aggressive.
Weird. It's weird seeing a movie set in the city we live in.
Yeah.
But also the city we live in pre 9/11. It's like, oh, that's because we live in New York City post 9/11, so we like know that vibe really well. It's like this movie is, yeah, boy.
Like this movie is like has so much like weird optimism to it, in a way that like I was like, oh, this is before the hope died, and that's, oh, what? But also this is, before we get into it, we should probably let people know who haven't seen Godzilla 98 what exactly happens in this movie. In everyone's absolute favorite segment of this show, we took a poll recently.
Yeah.
This is the most.
It was a flash poll.
This is the most favoritist part of the entire show. Everyone's favorite segment. Plot drop. Lashie, why don't you tell us the plot of Godzilla 98, please and thank you.
Okay, Matthew Broderick is a scientist who studies radiation's effect on animal life.
And he did a good job in this movie.
It's no one of the actors' fault.
I think he did a good job. I was like...
The actors all did a fantastic job. It's not their fault. They were given absolute crap to work with.
But this is also a Matthew Broderick we never saw again.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like after this movie, he went away.
Mm-hmm. He went to Broadway.
Yes. Anyways,
and rightfully so. So, a scientist who studies radiation's effect on animal life, and the Army comes like, hey, we need your help to solve a mystery because things have been happening in the Pacific, and eventually it turns out like it might be a giant irradiated iguana somewhere out in the world, and that iguana just happens to show up in New York City for no reason.
New York City.
So Godzilla, quote quotes, shows up in New York City, Shows up real quick, smashes a couple things, walks down. I think it was like a Houston Street, something like that, somewhere south of the city.
When he first gets here, he's in Tribeca. He's like in meatpacking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meatpacking district for a quick scene, smash some stuff. Everyone's like, oh my God, what's going on? Then dives into the subway system and like is just gone for a while. Military shows up. Everyone's like, we gotta find this thing. And they try to find it through all the tunnels. And they go, oh my God, where is it? What's going on? We don't know. And then he shows up again and smashes more stuff. And the military is like, we're gonna shoot it. And nothing seems to work. And then people have ideas of how to catch it. Oh, those plans are fail. And then eventually Matthew Broderick realizes that, oh, wait a second, maybe he is also a she or is just asexual and can reproduce on its own and is
Lizards
trying to...
have been known to do that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And has a wild idea of, like, maybe it's just trying to lay eggs on this island so it can procreate or, you know, just to continue its species.
And that's the most sense any of it makes, honestly. And he's like, oh, they're, you know.
It's possibly this.
Yes.
But then his girlfriend, who was his girlfriend in college, now works for a TV station in the city and wants to be a reporter, but she gets fired. So she goes on her own to try to find a story with the whole Godzilla thing, knows that her boyfriend's now working for the army. She goes to talk to him. He kind of tells her what's kind of going on, but not really. Then she finds a tape that's top secret. Then she leaks that tape and then gets Matthew Broderick fired. So when then he shows up, when then he gets kidnapped by... Which is actually also, I think, a very good idea. Like a secret French service of people trying to like, hey, the French are the ones that dropped that nuke in the Southern Pacific.
Yeah.
So we think we're the ones responsible for this creature. So we're trying to clean it up so nobody can blame the French. I was like, oh, you know what? That actually kind of makes sense.
But it was it's kind of buck wild having the French Secret Service in your movie.
Yes, it is.
There's a reason that trope hasn't propagated itself.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
But I did kind of like it.
Oh, you know how in every movie the French Secret Service shows up?
And they can just act with impunity on Americans. So it's like,
Yeah,
where'd you get
man.
all these guns? It's America. Well, that's true. Okay.
But also, what?
Yes. So it turns out that this Godzilla, who looks like nothing like Godzilla, and
No.
it's a really stupid design, who it just runs around the city. It's a very weird CG New York City, just killing all the
York
helicopters
City.
and doing all sorts of stuff. Laid over 200 eggs in the Madison Square Garden. And Matthew Broderick and the French Secret Service are the only ones who know about it. And they go in, they try to find... It's like, oh my God, we found all the eggs. Oh no. Hey, military, blow up Madison Square Garden. And the movie turns from like a Godzilla movie outside in New York City proper to Jurassic Park inside Madison Square Garden as they're running away from raptors, basically, for the rest of the movie. They get a signal out saying, hey, bomb Madison Square Garden. And then they do. And then the movie seems to be over. But it's not, because Godzilla pops out of the crater that was Madison Square Garden and is really angry because
And
you
is
killed all
somehow
my
not
babies.
dead.
And is somehow not dead. And then chases Matthew Broderick and the rest of the main characters across the Brooklyn Bridge. And then knocks the suspension wires, which I thought this was also decently clever, knocks the suspension wires off the bridge, but somehow gets entangled in it. And then all of a sudden becomes susceptible to missiles. And then dies on the Brooklyn Bridge. And the day is saved.
Yeah.
But one egg remained. Bum, bum, bum.
Dramatic reverb.
Oh, God, it was so bad.
It
was over 2 hours long, too. Like
yeah,
almost,
it's quite a film.
Yeah.
They really swing to
like
the fences
130
with this
minutes, I think. Yeah.
one. This movie had so much wrong with it, but I think really the underlying exclamation point, the red letter item of all of this is that I think they had a fundamental misunderstanding of what attracts people to Godzilla.
Yes. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They did. Yes.
They were trying to bring Godzilla to an American audience, and like as an American watching it, I was like, I can feel them trying to be like, well, this is what Americans like, and I was like, no, it's not. You screwed it up. They had already nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
The source material had already nailed it. There's a reason that it was so successful in Japan was because they didn't do this. They're like, well, we're going to do it a little bit differently. I'm like, I don't understand. That's basically, it's like, hey, we're going to bring McDonald's to Japan, but we're going to sell tacos there because that's what we think they would like. And it's like, no, they'd like McDonald's.
This movie seemed to be more like, because it was Roland Emmerich who directed it, and it was his team who produced it.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, this movie was more like just a straight up natural disaster movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least half of it was, and then it turned into Jurassic Park with all the raptors. And I was like, oh, you're filming this as a natural disaster movie.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, this sucks, because like this isn't how. This is boring because Godzilla's not even really a character, and it's a really bad CG, and the military is freaking incompetent.
Yes.
that's what makes it even worse. Like, these people are so dumb. And Siskel and Ebert, did you notice this? Were in charge of the city.
Yes.
Which is like, what do you do? Why would you, just stop. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
That's just stupid, because they're going to, like, hate this movie. Just, why would,
Yeah.
guys, this is dumb. But even just the whole thing of, like, this, it's just a straight monster film, kill the monster. It was like, that's not, even I know, I don't like Godzilla films. Know that, like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Godzilla doesn't die in the end by
No.
missile strikes.
No.
That's not, and, oh, well, he's
and
dead.
also
We
not
win.
in such a way that you start to kind of, at a certain point in the movie, there's a weird switch where you're kind of like, I like Godzilla. Godzilla's just trying to have his babies. Why are you guys all being jerks about it?
There's no story reason why he's there.
No.
This just happens. It's just, a ship got attacked in the Pacific, and then there were footsteps in, I guess, South America, and all of a sudden, like, and he just shows up in New York. I was waiting. It's like, is there a reason? Is there ever a story reason? Do they explain that he was following something, or there was a trail?
They try to explain it. It's an island. It's a perfect ecosystem to lay eggs. He said it.
He did say it,
But
there are
It doesn't.
so many islands.
Yeah. I don't.
Also, islands in the Pacific.
Yeah.
So many islands.
Unpopulated ones. Where they could just probably lay the eggs in peace.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
For me, this movie felt like, hey, Independence Day was a huge blockbuster.
Yep.
Jurassic Park was also a huge blockbuster.
Yep.
How can we smoosh those two movies together?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Godzilla. Oh, okay, cool. Great. So do we like this? Do we like Godzilla or not? Because the ending to me, when Godzilla died on the bridge, I was like, oh, that's... Why'd you have to kill Godzilla, guys? That sucks. When Godzilla was like sad that their babies are dead.
Yeah.
That
was the only characterization in the whole movie.
That bummed me out. I was like, I'm starting to root for Godzilla. I'm like, yeah, get these idiots. Like, get them. They killed all your babies.
Yeah.
Also, it only takes 2 missiles to blow up all of Madison Square Garden.
Only 2.
The whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing. And if it blows up to such a degree, you only need to be about 20 feet away, and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the other thing. The thing I did enjoy about the movie was that, like, oh, I know where they are. That's the Flatiron Building. Oh, they're right next to Bryant Park. Oh, they're down in south. Oh, they're south of the city. Oh,
Yeah.
they're right. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, they're right under or right over in Madison Square Garden. That means they're right above. What's that?
Penn Station.
Penn Station. Oh, and at one point they kind of run through. Well, it wasn't actually Penn Station, but like they kind of ran through a Penn Station.
A
It was like,
facsimile of
I was
Penn
like,
Station.
hey, that's Penn Station. I see. Oh, nice. They come out onto the street. I was like, yes, because there's stairs out of Penn Station onto 8th Avenue. It's like, huh, hey, cool. And the building blows up. They're 20 feet. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this great explosion. Cool. Oh, they're on 8th Avenue. They gotta get to the Brooklyn Bridge from Madison Square Garden. This is gonna take a hot second.
No, they
They are not.
They were in a cab.
They're not
though.
that close.
They were in a cab. That they had a car. They had wheels, so it's not that bad. Especially if the city's abandoned like that. But like,
There's no reason for anything in this movie.
no. This movie feels like when the idea of something is so strong that it just carries something, like it carries a project all the way through, even though this movie felt like a runaway train, kind of. Because here's the thing. Godzilla is a huge movie franchise.
Yes, it is.
And like the producers making a new Godzilla for like their summer schedule and like trying to like we're making Godzilla for the American audience and it's going to be a huge spectacle. Like I don't know if you remember, but I do. Like for me, this movie was a big deal when it came out. I was really psyched about this movie because I like Godzilla a lot and I was really into it. And they were like, we're making a new Godzilla. And I was like, sounds great. Yes, please. I'll be there day one. That sounds awesome. I might even go a couple of times. Hoopsie doodles. Let's roll. Like I was in it. And I think like America writ large was in it. And also the amount of merchandising that this film went through was staggering.
There was a lot, yeah.
There were every fast food restaurant had a Godzilla cup. You know what I'm saying?
P. Diddy did the theme song for it.
The soundtrack is very, very good.
Yeah.
It's a good soundtrack.
P. Diddy's cover of "Come with Me" is probably the best thing that came out of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I own the soundtrack, mostly because Ben Folds 5 has a track on it. It's actually a very good song. But it's a great soundtrack.
Sure.
But yeah, then watching this movie, I was like, oh, they just were, everyone's like, we're making Godzilla, so let's do it. And it's like, oh, have we thought about this? Well, we got a script, so it's happening. Okay.
This was a movie that was a...
We got Ferris Bueller.
This was a disaster film script.
Yeah.
It was not a Godzilla script.
It was not a monster movie script.
No. And those are two separate things. As I have learned in the past couple of days, those are two separate things.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the reasons like this
And you do not enjoy disaster movies.
I don't like seeing civilization fall apart.
And
I don't like seeing people, even fake people, like, getting drowned or killed or frozen. I just don't like that.
Yeah, but it's not.
I know it's
it's
fake.
not about that. It's about the spectacle of it.
But to me, it's like all those people are dying, and this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. Please.
I think you're thinking too much about it.
I don't find enjoyment in these films.
Disaster movies may be like my top two. In my top two of movie genres. I love disaster movies. I love them. I'll take them because they're allowed to be a little bad.
Sure.
2012 is a fantastic film. It has so many problems that you can just. That's the thing. If anything you don't like, it just gets swept away. It just gets tsunami'd out of there.
Sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love it. 2012 is that I love disaster movies. I love it. And I love to see what humanity's plan is for the inevitable, and how they do it. It's fun. My top movie favorite style is? I think you can guess.
Is it a monster film? Is it a Godzilla movie?
No.
Oh.
No.
What is it?
Oh, it's heist movies, dude. Heist
Whoa.
Heist movie all day long.
This movie's terrible.
Yeah. It's just there are no stakes to it, and also, man, you gotta love it. It's you gotta love the late '90s and very early 2000s movies because it's the last bastion of getting away with just throwing some slurs in your movie.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. She says the R word pretty yells it.
Yeah, the first 10 minutes.
She yells it, and it's like, oh no!
Wow. Okay. I forgot about that.
I don't feel good about that at all.
Yeah, it's like that F-bomb in the first Fast and Furious movie.
It's in the first 10 minutes, dude. It's in the first 10 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
And also with speaking along those same lines, in Godzilla, Godzilla is in New York in the first 20 minutes of this movie.
Yes.
That's not how Godzilla movies work. At all.
Yeah.
And then it's 2 hours of having Godzilla in New York. It takes them 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't take 2 hours.
No.
But it's not about... Godzilla exists in a place in which the on-the-ground stuff fighting against Godzilla, there is in these monster movies, there is... The ground level stuff runs parallel with what Godzilla is doing, but it's kind of clear the whole time that there is very little that humanity can do to stop Godzilla. And if they can, it is kind of a little bit more grandiose than just the military fighting them.
Sure.
Does that make any sense? It's either they're fighting another monster or they're luring Godzilla away to do something.
Mm-hmm.
There's there are, for lack of a better term, there are hijinks afoot. I never understood why, if they knew Godzilla was going to just slow down and eat all those fish, why they didn't just drug the fish. You know what I'm saying? Or if they realized that Godzilla was going to slow down and just eat all the fish, maybe we just stop trying to fight Godzilla and just see what they're up to.
Mm-hmm. Maybe track them.
Yes. Yeah. It sucks that they're in New York.
Give them a tracking fish.
But maybe Godzilla won't destroy or kill a lot more people if we stop trying to fight it and just let it do what it's trying to do. And also, I'm not 100% sure where the design of this Godzilla went wrong.
This Godzilla looks dumb. It's got a massive underbite. His lower jaw does not make any sense. And now seeing from modern day Godzilla films of what the actual design is oh, this creature does look quite stupid. It looks quite stupid
compared to the original one.
Yes,
Yeah.
to the original one and to the
Well,
one we have in the
I
current
think
movies.
they would argue that like those designers thought that the OG Godzilla look was stupid, and I was like, no, if you just take it seriously and make it and take the original Godzilla design and just kind of make it a little bit more realistic,
Yes.
it's actually terrifying.
Yeah.
Like the Godzilla franchise the new one that started in 2014, like Godzilla looks like the way Godzilla is supposed to look, and Godzilla looks horrifying. Horrifyingly awesome. Go get him, Gojira. Let them fight. I think, speaking of which,
Yes.
I think we've come to the Fix It portion of Fix It. And we're kind of we're in a weird headspace about this fix right now.
Yes, we are.
It's interesting. I have a lot of affection towards Godzilla, and I have like a good amount of thoughts on how I would want to fix this movie. And we have reached a point that we come to a lot on this show, but don't always necessarily acknowledge. Whereas I think this is the purest example of the true fix to Godzilla 98 is that you do not make this film.
No.
And that really, and I don't like saying that, and I don't like being that guy, and I don't like it. It kind of flies in the face of what we're doing here at Fix It. But what I would like to fix today is that as Adam and I have been in pre-production for this episode and have been having conversations about this, it has come to light that Adam. Well, you explain it.
I don't like Godzilla movies.
Like at all.
Not at all.
I
Now,
thought
here's
there
the
was at
thing.
least some affection because we have done the trailers and you have been, you've gotten into it.
Because the monster fights look cool.
Yes.
But like I said earlier, I don't like disaster films.
Sure.
And so many people die in these movies. I've never understood the popularity and appeal of Godzilla. Because these movies don't do anything for me.
But he's big monster, big little city go smoosh.
Sure.
Big monster go, yeah.
I get that. And the fights from King of the Monsters, pretty neat when you fight Ghidorah. And
Ghidorah.
And when Godzilla versus Kong in the last one we saw a couple years ago, I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that was pretty neat. The fight itself is pretty neat. Go
Yeah.
King Kong. And then Mechagodzilla shows up. I was like, oh, they're fighting together.
Let them
Oh, this is
fight.
great.
Man, Ken Watanabe, he delivers every line in those movies. They're just perfect. When he names Godzilla for the first time, like I cried. It's perfect. I love Ken Watanabe.
But I bounce off these films because
Yeah.
I have no one to connect to.
Yeah.
Because your main character is your titular character is a giant creature that doesn't communicate
Yeah.
and just does things, and everyone else is acting in and around this thing, and the stories for me didn't make any sense.
But he's more protector.
That's the thing. I get that now. I'm seeing like, oh, this is what the metaphor was and what they were going for.
Yeah.
But especially in this movie in '98,
It's gone.
that's gone. But even in the newer ones, it's like this is bouncing off me. I don't see what
Yeah.
you're trying to communicate through these movies of
Sure.
of this is what you're going for.
Yeah, man.
Because it's like, oh, all I'm seeing is Millie Bobby Brown run around a bunch of stuff and just like kind of tell things what's happening and then try to help, and then we're fighting.
Yeah.
It just seems more about the humans being stupid, but like the metaphor for what Godzilla is supposed to be is completely lost in these Western versions of the film.
Oh no, I think if anything, I think the Western movies kind of, for me, I think they bring that more to light. But
Well, also like now I'm doing some research, like because I looked up like why is Godzilla popular? Because like what is it? Because I truly like I don't understand. I really don't.
this is a unique episode to prep for because I got here and I was fully like. Normally, Adam has his little computer out and he goes, "Okay, I have my fix ready. I just need to go over it." And I'm like, "Cool, so we're podcasting it." And he goes, "Dude, I don't know how to. I don't like these movies, so I don't know how to
Yeah,
do this."
I don't know.
And I was like, "Wow, okay, that's a first.
Yeah.
That's a first." So
So what? I mean,
we're gonna do a fix today.
Yes.
We're gonna do one fix together, but I think the inherent fix is going to be we are going to make a Godzilla 98, and we're gonna keep it in 98.
Yes.
We are gonna make a Godzilla 98 that Adam would like to see. that Adam that will that will answer the question, why is Godzilla so popular?
Yes. No, that's truly it.
Adam. Yeah.
Because because that's the thing. When I was reading the Wikipedia stuff, reading a bunch of different entries, and just like kind of going, it's like, okay, what is the popular? Why? How do people connect to this character?
Because monsters fight.
Beyond just monsters fight, what is it about this character that draws people to it? Because I truly because it's not like I don't understand. And seeing the history of Godzilla from the 50s and 60s, being that it was a metaphor for Japanese culture, like fear of another nuclear attack.
Yeah.
And then the first few movies was all about that metaphor. And then slowly, as they started to introduce other monsters into this,
it
deepening
started a
lore,
world build.
Started a world build. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, Godzilla is actually becoming a protector. He starts becoming a superhero, or a hero in later films, and then it's him fighting these other monsters. Like, oh, I'm starting to understand what's going on here.
Have you seen any of these older ones?
No.
Okay. Do you want to know my favorite? If I may recommend one,
Sure.
just watch Rodan.
Okay.
It's not a Godzilla movie. It's Rodan.
Oh, okay.
Rodan is a very good monster movie.
Okay.
It's like very good. It's a good one.
So
it's like old, but it's old school.
Sure,
know.
people in suits and stuff running around
Yes.
a small set, yeah,
Very much
like
so.
Power Rangers and stuff.
It's a lot. Well, this one's a lot of miniatures because they're flying over cities and like obliterating them. Yeah, Rodan like flies so fast. That,
Oh yes, I see. Yeah, because it just burns everything in its wake. Because I understand Pacific Rim and like the Power Ranger stuff. If it's like getting in a giant mech suit to fight.
You don't like humans not having agency.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm Team Human. I'm Team Civilization.
Yeah.
My bad.
I'm not
But
saying that it's bad.
I
I'm
just
just
feel
saying.
like a little bit judgmental. You would have won.
No,
Giant
because
Masters fight.
I feel if I may be 1,000% bold with you,
Please do.
and I as always I'm coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
I just feel like sometimes you have a hard time you can't separate you you're like, but I'm a human. Humans can't. Oh, are you saying humans are weak and frail? That means I'm weak and frail. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like you take a movie that is like humanity writ large can't fight this force. You're like, well, I could fight it. What
no,
are you
I want to
talking
be
about?
able to fight about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be able to, I want humanity to be able to kind of control its own destiny.
It is a small offshoot of your main character syndrome.
Sure.
Like humans can't win, but I'm human.
Yeah.
And I'm main character.
Screw you. We're gonna win. We're gonna win. We'll find a way. Screw you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but I think that would make you would like disaster movies because the majority of the time people do overcome it and survive it.
Oh, sure they do, but
I can't recommend the seminal classic 2012 because I think you'll be happily pleased with the ending of that film.
the 3 boats of people still
Look,
alive.
we have a reaction channel and a Patreon. I can trick you into
You
watching
could
this
trick
movie.
me into watching it.
Oh well, yeah, man. All I have to do is that's the thing about the peaches and the slop goblins and everyone in Visteria. I just got to plant the seeds of Adam really doesn't want to watch this movie, so you should ask him about it a bunch, and they will.
Thanks, Jay.
Guys, get in the chat. And
Awesome.
tell
You're
Adam he
weaponizing
needs to
everybody
watch
against me. It's
2012.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and if you're if you happen to have Adam's cell phone number, just text him 2012. Everybody, get him.
Thanks,
If
Jay.
you own a skywriting plane, maybe write it above Adam's address, which is
Cool J. LL Cool J.
LL
Yeah.
Cool J. That's
Yeah.
why they call me that.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, I'm the next one.
So
Did you know?
my thought is, when it's trying to come up with a fix for this thing,
Sure.
of trying to okay, seeing as how trying to introduce Godzilla to a Western market that largely does not know this property very well.
Yes,
Because I still think Godzilla's popularity in the
because
West
that's
is
what
still
this
pretty
movie
niche.
really was trying to do.
Yes, that it's still pretty niche. So we need to expand. This. Hey, this is what Godzilla is now. If this is what happened, because I have not rewatched the 2014 movie and King of Monsters or King versus Kong.
I will say,
Or
watching through
Godzilla
this,
versus
it made
Kong.
me want to rewatch those movies.
Just in case this is what they were actually going for.
Uh-huh.
But man, those movies just seem to be so much talking about. I got to release all the monsters to destroy humanity. Blah blah.
Yeah, let them fight.
Oh, for God's sakes, you're introducing too much too fast.
Dude, just let them fight.
So my thought is to slow it down a little bit
And let them fight.
slowly, one by one, and or just kind of introduce the idea of what Godzilla is supposed to be.
Okay.
In a metaphor that the
right.
West would understand.
Okay.
Because we don't have that fear of a nuclear war.
And I'm here to help
like
you
Japan
build the
does.
fun, like to keep it on the Godzilla straight and narrow.
Sure.
Okay.
But I think my general, because honestly, when we started talking about this, like, oh, I think we can set this monarch thing up in this whole like world of monsters. That
Yes.
was it. Well, who's got this
I
property?
want to say
Lionsgate?
Godzilla is Paramount.
Paramount.
I think.
Whoever's got the rights, like, hey, you could have, this could have been started 20 years ago or so.
I would argue that
20
I
years
think
ago.
the 2024 or the 2014 Godzilla franchise is actually doing a decent.
Oh, I
job.
think it's probably doing
Skull
fine
Island
too.
was a fun movie.
Sure.
I'm going to pop in quickly here, gentlemen. The Monsterverse, as they're calling it now, those characters are still created and owned by Toho Co., but the movies are produced by Legendary and co-produced and distributed by Warner Brothers. There are currently 5 movies and 2 TV shows. Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong, and then 2024's Godzilla Kong The New Empire. The TV shows, you have the anime Skull Island that was on Netflix, and then you have the current Apple TV Plus Monarch Legacy of Monsters TV show. Anyway, back to you, gentlemen.
Yeah, but I mean that was a little bit easier to understand because in that there was a tribe of people there already on the island, and Kong was actively protecting them
Maybe it is
against
Universal.
those giant reptile monsters.
Yeah.
Like there was actually a symbiotic relationship between that tribe and King Kong.
Yeah.
So like that was based, and our new characters to the island were learning as they were going as to what
And he's a mammal, and you can get on board with mammals.
team
whereas-
opposable
whereas-
thumbs, baby.
whereas
Let's go,
lizards-
crafting
Oh,
those
man.
weapons.
Oof. Godzilla's gonna open up King Kong's mouth and just barf lightning right down his gullet. Just That's right, baby.
So my initial idea of how to fix this whole thing,
Go on, hit me.
okay, would be to lean into Godzilla being a hero, but it would take the whole movie to get to that point of like seeing that in that light,
Understood.
but also using the metaphor of like the environmentalism.
Sure.
Because that is,
Okay.
That's that's of the things that we share in common with Japanese society. Of like, hey, no, Godzilla is actually a protector of the planet.
Okay.
So like when like Ghidorah shows up and is like, oh no, that's an alien monster who's trying to take over everything. Of
Yeah.
course, Godzilla's gonna fight him on
Yeah.
the Earth's behalf. Oh,
Yeah, dude.
that's something I can get behind if I understood what the heck was going on.
Oh, okay.
So I think if you slow roll this whole thing and change this whole first movie and keep the original design, clearly, obviously,
Yes.
but have this as we are introducing Godzilla to a Western audience, that we set this on the West Coast,
okay.
probably like San Francisco or
Well,
something.
that's where 2014 has its big fight.
Awesome. I'm already kind of in the right mindset then.
And it's an iconic city enough from an architectural standpoint.
Yeah.
But it's also like, yeah, okay.
That I think what you would do in that first movie is have like, and this especially being in the late 90s,
Yes.
is have like a giant corporation like doing something nefarious, probably with like nuclear waste or something in the
Okay.
South Pacific.
So we're existing in so in this fix, are we existing in a world in which Godzilla is created in
No.
this film?
No,
Or Godzilla has already been around?
he's not created in this movie, but he is alive. He just hasn't shown up yet.
Okay. So
This
we're
is
getting
this is the
humanity's
first
run-in
yes,
with Godzilla.
with Godzilla.
I guess that's what I mean.
Yes, this is the humanity's first run-in with Godzilla.
Okay.
So late 90s.
I'm not sure that I would. Okay. But for this
Yes.
fix's purpose, I think I can
this
get
is
behind that.
introducing this to a Western audience.
But we're not going to have a long montage that it's like, hey, this iguana got hit by a nuke. That's literally what it basically shows. That the whole sequence is like, what if an iguana got nuked? That's literally all it was.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
It's well shot.
Sure, it's a decent montage,
Yeah.
but just like it takes forever in the movie. Like, oh, just shut up. Just shut
Yes.
up. Oh, little egg. Just stop. Please just stop. Roland
Yeah.
Emmerich, just start the damn movie. So I think we start to, we see this giant, corporation that has like, nuclear power is the way of the future because environmentally it's blah, 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 which is clean energy, nuclear energy, but like they're like dumping it in like the South Pacific or something like that, right?
Okay.
And that could awaken because seeing the ecologic disaster that could awaken Godzilla,
Okay.
and then Godzilla travels to the source of the stuff, and we could see some the giant wake as he's going through the ocean. A couple of boats get ripped up a little bit, and like there's a story of like what the heck is going on in the Pacific.
Okay.
Something seems to be traveling towards the west coast of America.
Okay. So stopping you right there.
Sure.
How are we fitting Ferris Bueller in this?
Oh, he's an environmental activist.
Activist.
Yes.
Interesting.
Or like he could work for the EPA.
Okay. I think that fits more his
Yeah.
style a little
Yeah,
bit.
absolutely. Yeah.
Because he's pleasantly nerdy.
Yes.
Because
we can set up because like using and I read somewhere that like the 2014 Godzilla movie, or like there was a recent modern Godzilla film that the whole metaphor was about Japanese government response to the earthquake.
Yes.
And like that's what they were.
It's the 2014 one because the monsters are feeding off of nuclear energy. Yeah.
So like that, like they were using, it was a metaphor
The
for
ones that I thought were Rodan in
mhm.
that trailer because they're like flying over the things. They were actually, it was pretty cool actually. Okay, I like this. I think this first part of the movie we're getting our expo dump from we're getting it from Matthew Broderick showing up as an EPA inspector who is basically inspecting.
Like he knows this company's doing something nefarious.
Yes,
and is trying to bring people's attention to it.
Let's say,
while the big business people are just like,
let's say he's part of the EPA and he is inspecting an oil rig out in the ocean.
Yeah,
but he realizes that they are also, this corporation is using this. He realizes pretty quickly that this oil rig is not there to drill oil. They are using this as a station to dispose of
nuclear waste.
They are drilling down. They are drilling down so they can bury nuclear waste and then just seal it over at the bottom of the ocean.
Yep. Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
So we have an environmental disaster about to happen because of this company's
malfeasance.
Yes, thank you. So awakens Godzilla, follows the back to the source. He's Godzilla.
Yeah.
And he gets to San Francisco. I think the main point of the movie is everyone trying to stop Godzilla, but Godzilla knows what it's doing.
Okay.
It's going after the source of this problem.
Gotcha.
And I think what we learned through this movie is that, and that's
one thing they set up with Godzilla is that like he is like finally attuned to nuclear energy because it's part of like what his power base is. So like I think the misdirect that we get in this movie is that we think that Godzilla is trying to get to the nuclear reactor
or the company
in order to like eat it or absorb it and get more powerful, but that is not what he is doing.
Right.
Okay.
I think we get through this movie of that sense of we cannot stop this thing, and this is how like Matthew Broderick, like people we can see, and I think just for those of us people in the West who like don't really get this and maybe need this to be a little bit more like warned, like, hey, notice how he's not doing certain things. He's not just blanket wiping out San Francisco.
Yes.
He's like he's clearly on a trajectory to do a certain goal-oriented thing.
It could also very well be in this attack on San Francisco, like the military can't really do anything about it, and it becomes a media circus. But eventually gets to a point where you have Matthew Broderick's character, and if we're putting this in 1998, in order to, I think he has someone he is working with at the FBI, so that gets him into the military room. And if I am going to cast someone to make this even more 98, that character is going to be played by none other than the late 90s finest, Janine Garofalo.
Oh, okay.
No one had a better run in the late 90s than more than Janine Garofalo.
Yeah.
We never stopped liking her as an actress. She's wonderful. She was great in The West Wing. She was good in everything. I love Janine. And also, it makes this movie so much more 98, I can't even stand it. So she's his like FBI like handler person.
Yes.
And she's the one that gets him into kind of like the big like, I want to say war rooms, even though it's not really war. And I think this initial like San Francisco run, they're like, well, if you really like acknowledge like the path of this situation, it really seems like the military getting involved in this made this way worse than it needed to be.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe, and again, this is probably just for me and other dum-dums who do not like need to have this get hit over the head a little bit more. You know, this needs the metaphor to be not quite so subtle. It's just like, clearly Godzilla was trying to stop what was going on with what this company was doing. Not that like doesn't know what these companies are, blah, blah, but no, like he just can tell the source of these things because radiation is part of his power base. That if we clearly what we are trying to fight against right now, what you are attempting to fight against, is basically Mother Nature itself.
Yes,
you cannot stop Mother Nature.
Can I add,
or is the agent of in Godzilla?
Yes. Can I offer some 90s blockbuster Roland Emmerich things into what we've had so far?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to have a scene. I think there's some kind of boat race happening in the bay, in San Francisco.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think Godzilla I feel like the boat race gets bisected by Godzilla's spiky fins like coming out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's and the boats like fall off to the side. I think that'd be a really fun sequence that you could have. That's a good trailer moment.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in this initial attack in San Francisco, just because we're coming on the heels of like Independence Day and stuff. Godzilla's like atomic breath is going to cut, like the cool pyramid building in San Francisco.
Yes.
He's going to cut that lengthwise.
Lengthwise?
Yeah.
Oof, okay.
Like he's going to hot dog instead of hamburger that thing. You know what I'm saying? Like from the bottom up.
Sure, okay.
Just and it's going to and it's boom, 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 but like it like falls into two pieces. Because he's like trying to hit a plane or something.
Sure. And because I think like the ultimate
dude, if you think about it, if he's trying to knock a jet out of the way and you just see the shot of the jet like flying up the side of the building,
to pull up,
but it's like he's like pulling up flying straight up the building and you're getting the shot from above and it's just goo 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 like the explosions behind him.
Right behind him.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. And also you're gonna have a jet fighter in there. And that guy specifically is the guy that's like, he's the military guy that's like, we just got to go get him. But then like after this situation, he realizes like, hey guys, maybe Godzilla isn't so bad after all. You got to have that.
Well, because I think that the ultimate trajectory of this movie is that Matthew Broderick and Janine Garofalo will eventually like, hey, military, stop fighting him.
Yes.
Clearly, this is not working and the situation is being made worse by this.
Yeah.
And like, clearly he's got an intended target and it's this company that's doing a thing, right?
Yeah.
And he can just follow the sense. It's like, oh, there's, more stuff stored there, whatever. And I think the ultimate bad guy of the movie is this company. Like, if the military is not going to do a thing, well, then we're going to try to stop them.
Yeah.
And they go out of the way to pull out, all these crazy, company things or whatever, black market, weapons and things of that nature. Nothing Mechagodzilla, but this is the beginning. This is going to be the beginning of this stuff.
Yes.
But this company tries to fight for in lieu of the military because they're a global entity and they have all sorts of stuff. They can pull out some crazy stuff. But Godzilla again just walks through all this stuff. You see him getting batted around, and maybe it's a little roped up here and there. Maybe the company has some type of technology that kind of wounds him slightly. But eventually, like Godzilla will eventually crush this thing. The main CEO guy will eventually get his one-uppance.
Yes, I'm seeing
comeuppance.
Okay.
And then Godzilla just goes back to the sea, and clearly, there's a lesson at the end, clearly he was here to stop what they were doing, which I was trying to tell you all about, but, thank God he was here because something way worse was going to happen if they continued to do their plan.
Okay, I'm seeing this movie towards the end right now.
Please do.
And I'm going to give this movie some bigger, I think we're going to put whatever the nuclear problem is, because it's all about energy creation, right?
Yeah.
I think you have, and this is real 90s action. This is real 90s big blockbuster movie set piece. I think you have your evil nuclear corporation is entrenched in the Hoover Dam.
Oh, okay.
they're basically like they don't realize why necessarily realize like why the Hoover Dam is suddenly like making a ton more energy than it normally was.
Okay.
And basically they're using it as a cover to like experiment on nuclear reactors.
Sure. Okay.
Like and how to make them like more powerful, but obviously more volatile. And so it's like clearly a problem, but they're using that as a cover to be like, well, we can just send the energy out. Like it's got to go somewhere. So we got to send it out. And like the Hoover Dam, well, it's like, so we basically get a sequence of, we get Godzilla, making his way towards towards the source of the power, but he's passing through Las Vegas. And this is our big Act 2 kind of moment.
Okay.
And I like the idea that Godzilla like actually takes a pretty significant beating and this is where there's just too much money involved, and this is where you can kind of see the government corruption of things, because like at that point I feel like Matthew Broderick and Janeane Garofalo have made their point, and so they're just following Godzilla at this point. But
yes.
When he gets close to Vegas, tensions really raise with everybody there, and so there's like a huge fight between like him and like Godzilla and our military at that point. And I think Godzilla like actually kind of like takes a beating in Las Vegas and goes down.
Oh no.
Because that would also be a really interesting shot of like a Godzilla, like a knocked out Godzilla
on the strip or in and around the strip. Yeah.
But because the power plant in Vegas is pumping so much nuclear energy into the system, and it's kind of like tainted energy. Like I like the idea. I like the idea of Godzilla being knocked out and it being nighttime, and then all of the lights like dimming in Vegas, and you can kind of just see like the nuclear energy like pouring into Godzilla, and him like getting back up and being re-energized again, and like keep moving. Like it's like one of those moments. It's one of those moments where like everyone in Vegas is kind of like, oh man, Godzilla. Like I feel like public sentiment has turned, and everyone's kind of like, we believe in you, Godzilla.
Because they can kind of maybe see what's going on.
I feel like
story,
the PR...
Matthew Broderick's side of the story of like he's not actually trying to hurt us.
Yes,
he's trying to stop
something
us from ruining XYZ.
Yeah,
and I think, and again, because we're dumb Westerners, and I wouldn't get the meta. Like we need to like really like maybe hit us over the head with this metaphor of like this company's too big. It's just polluting everywhere, and if we keep doing this, it's gonna ruin the planet. And it's like, well, there's too much money involved. So some people in the government have to be involved in this. Like, actually kill this thing because there's too much money involved. This, is part, the military industrial complex, all this kind of stuff. Just hit us over the head with it. It's like, oh, okay, so Godzilla isn't actually the bad guy here. I see what he's actually fighting against. This makes a lot more sense now to me. Cool.
And so Godzilla approaches the Hoover Dam. And we get another fight with, part of me, and like when I was like thinking about my fix, is that I wanted to have like some kind of like larger monster for him to fight, but have it turn out to be like what I was thinking about before we kind of powwowed on this was that like Godzilla was already a thing but hadn't been around for a while, and so the powers that be, there was going to be a monster, and Godzilla would appear to fight the monster and save people, but the monster ended up being not real, like being a large robot of some kind, like made to look like a monster, so they could they could study and capture Godzilla. That was kind of my whole. So part of me wants to give the military like some kind of larger fighting mechanism for some kind of large fight.
Sure.
I like the idea of, I don't want to introduce Mechagodzilla quite yet into this universe.
I know this is weird because, like, I feel, in a lot of these movies, like, you want to introduce another monster, but I think it feels like it's really important to not introduce another monster right now because you want to kind of slow roll this slightly to, like, help, take us by the hand and lead us through this. Like, no.
Yes.
Because the after credit scene is, like, somebody showing up to Matthew Broderick, and maybe it's like, the Monarch version is like, you don't understand. Like, there's more of him out there.
If I were doing a an after credit sequence in this movie, it would be Matthew Broderick's character getting off of a helicopter, and the camera turning around and someone being like welcome to Skull Island, like similar to what they did in 2014.
Yes.
Be like, there's been like we know you've seen the lizard. There are others.
There are others.
But I think Godzilla makes his way to the Hoover Dam. There is a fight outside the dam, but also I think you're getting the perspectives of all of the like media outlets of being like, is he trying to hurt humanity by destroying the dam? Is he trying to save us? What's going on? There's a lot of confusion around.
Yes.
And I think eventually, like, through this fight, that Godzilla is basically just trying to stop this nuclear experimentation. The dam breaks. And all of the water comes down, and it's like it can be a huge disaster for all of the towns, like, you know, below the Hoover Dam. And I think where we get Godzilla's he's our protector moment is that like Godzilla uses his abilities to divert the water and stop the flooding of all of the humanity below river.
Yeah.
Like he uses that ability to like stop the water, and it's like and everyone's catching it on the camera. They're like, Godzilla's here to save us.
Yeah.
And eventually, you know, it'll eventually come out what was underneath the dam and why that had to happen in the first place. But we get a Godzilla, all leading up to this one moment, because you have Janine Garofalo and Matthew Broderick, who had like, you know, made it off the dam just in time. You get the shot of Godzilla in the canyon, like walking by, like, and like kind of bend down to the two of them, but like they're already kind of at his level. And like you see him you see like a note, like almost like a small nod from Godzilla.
Some type.
It doesn't even have to be a movement. The shot can indicate it.
Yes, there needs to be a shot indicating Godzilla knows what it's doing, and it just communicated.
Yes.
That's all. That's what I need.
Yeah.
Because you could do it because with
because
Kong
when
they did
Godzilla
it.
died, it was sad.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know why I feel sad right now.
Well, that shot of the eye.
Was I supposed to be rooting for this?
It was like,
I don't know who I'm rooting for in this movie.
Yeah.
And you get that shot, and then you get the post-credit sequence of like Matthew Broderick being approached by Monarch in some degree.
Some degree. There are others out there.
I've heard the Monarch show is really good, and
I've also heard
I kind of want to add it to the list.
I knew Jay. I already added it to the list.
Oh, okay.
We
have such a long list.
I know. We will get to it.
But
the list is a little full right now. Our dance card's a little full, but we'll come back to it.
But it looks really good.
I mean, it looks decent. People have said the first couple episodes were great.
I know.
But for me, for a Western audience, having to be spoon-fed, like, hey, this is why Godzilla is so popular.
Yeah.
We really need to kind of be force-fed this. Hey, he's the protector. Here's some moments where he's clearly a hero. It's, you know, and Matthew Broderick and Janine Garofalo can kind of be our people there, being like introduced to this world.
Yeah.
And then I think from there, like if this movie does well, and I think, you know,
I would add into that like final twosome, I would add the pilot who realizes that Godzilla's not doing anything, like trying to help. Mm-hmm. And if it's 1998, I'm casting Skeet Ulrich.
Wow. Okay.
He can have that kind of piloty smarm.
Sure.
You know?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Or like what's his name? He was not Christian Bale. Christian He was in Robin Hood Prince of Thieves. He was Will Scarlet.
Oh, I don't remember that guy.
You should. He was in it'll come to me.
Yeah, eventually.
This is a good podcast.
Good job, bud.
This is a good podcast. Yeah.
So I think the after credit scenes are such,
Yeah.
right? Is definitely in the 90s we didn't have this, but we're going back in time. We're doing it.
Christian Slater. There we go.
Oh, Christian Slater.
Yes.
Oh, Christian Slater would be
It's Christian
great
Slater.
pilot.
It's Christian Slater, Janine Garofalo, and Matthew Broderick.
That's good. Yeah.
That's
I
good,
like
right?
That.
That's very 98.
Yeah, that's a good trio.
Yeah.
So I think we have the hey, introduction of Monarch or whatever, that version of it would be like, hey, there are others out there. Mm-hmm. This world's a lot bigger than you think.
Yeah.
Okay, but I also think that the son of the CEO of the company that was just destroyed, is like, well, now I have to kill them.
Okay.
So that's I need to anti-Godzilla technology.
And I feel like
that's what our company is now.
Yes.
And that takes us down the
anti-kaiju technology.
Yep.
And that's I think the second movie we get King Kong.
Oh, okay.
I think we just expand this universe a little bit more.
Like
honestly, it's what the franchise has been doing now.
Oh, sure. Like Kong Skull Island, I think, that another version of that type of story of just, like, do you mean like Kong versus Godzilla or just a King Kong movie? Oh, if we introduce Kong on King Kong on Kong Island, the giant monkey on Kong Island.
I'm realizing as we're fixing this thing, we're going a long way towards making Godzilla 2014.
I mean,
we just took the other monsters out of it.
Yeah,
it's not that far away
here's
from
the thing,
what
the sequel,
we just did.
I mean,
I feel like people are lighting us up in the
they
comments
could be
right
again
now.
because I didn't see it I didn't see it and I didn't understand. If I did, I didn't understand it. So again. If that is kind of what happened in that movie, then that makes sense, and I should definitely rewatch that movie.
I think you'd like it. It's very good.
The sequel definitely should not be Godzilla King of Monsters, because there were too many monsters in that movie.
Yeah.
You could slow roll that a little bit.
Yeah, I like
because it was too well. Yeah, because you already knew everybody.
Yeah.
But the Western audience, we are dumb. We need to be slowly fed this stuff.
Yeah.
There was too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you want to do it a trilogy and, like, okay, that was a kind of a big, point, like, you definitely have, like, Ghidorah at the end of the trilogy. You introduce, like, Rodan or maybe Mothra in the second one and kind of definitely have a monster v monster fight. Maybe you want to do an offshoot with King Kong. That'd be great. A parallax story. But, like, I think you lead towards a third movie being like, no. Western audiences, Ghidorah is like, yo, this is a big effing deal. This thing is from space.
This is an interdimensional
monster. And yeah, this is Godzilla's like Zod. Like
yes.
this is a big deal.
Yes. Yeah, this is an existential threat to humans and Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you need to slowly unravel this stuff and spoon feed us why this is important. And then from there you can go on to like the King Kong versus Godzilla, Mecha Godzilla can show up. I mean, because that reveal in the movie of Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong was awesome. It's like, oh, they're using the skull from Ghidorah as the base of Mecha Godzilla. Oh, that's not gonna go well. Yeah. Oh, it didn't go well. Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah, it's cool as hell.
Boy, part of me wishes that this was slow rolled a little bit more and just wasn't crammed into the end of this movie.
Yeah.
But I understand why it was. But like, oh man, this
I had a
was
blast
cool.
at that movie. I had a blast. That was just stupid enough for a Godzilla movie.
But there was so much. That was the other thing. A lot of these movies have so much lore in them.
Yeah.
That's almost like, guys, I'm sorry, I'm new to this. What is this Hollow Earth and these other the things other temples under the water? I'm so confused as to what's going on.
The old monster movies do have that much as well, but it's also usually kind of really hammy and ham-fisted, because they're old B movies, So it's like it's hard to know what canon in this universe to respect.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like, it wasn't all gold. It wasn't all gold. Some of it's really stupid. One of them's a big moth. Don't get me wrong. I will die for Mothra. I will lay in traffic for that big, beautiful moth. However, really stupid. Conceptually pretty dumb. But I'd kill for her. She's our big, beautiful gal. With that big old mothy butt. I don't know. That's stupid. Okay. I really think we just wrote a Godzilla movie that already exists.
We might have. But if that is what Godzilla 2014 was, I definitely need to rewatch it. And maybe now with this little bit of research and understanding where this popularity came from, I'll understand it more. And I think you just needed to. I mean, again, these movies have done well enough to keep making stuff, but I think they have left money on the table.
Yes.
As if because they were they did thread the needle of old school fans will like it and new fans should like it as well. But I think if they aired slightly more on the side of getting more people into the franchise and dumbing it down, or just slow rolling it just a little bit more.
This 98 film was just.
But this 98 film was absolute garbage.
It really. It just has a fundamental misunderstanding of what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
It's like the Godzilla movie to me feels like, like when like fast food places like try to do something crazy with their menu and they just like they just basically create like an abomination of a burger.
Sure.
Like this movie feels like that to me. I'm like, structurally it's a burger, but like you didn't need any.
But
of
at what
this.
cost?
But at what cost? I'm like, I'm supposed to just eat that and like go be a human being for the rest of the day? No. Good merchandising for this movie, but that's really about anyone that really was standing behind the studios in the whole strike situation can take one good look at this movie and be like, well, they really talk like they know what they're doing, but
Not always.
yeah, this was the Batman and Robin of Godzilla movies.
Ooh. Well, if anything, if somehow we accidentally did also just rewrite a dumbed down version of 2014, at least for me, this has actually given me an appreciation for Godzilla, which I did not have 2 days ago.
Okay. Yeah.
So like, I definitely think I need to go back and watch that, rewatch it, because but again, King of Monsters, there was like, I remember we watched that. We went to the theater to see it. I was like, there's so much going on right now. There's what is even happening, Jay? Why are all these? I don't understand what's happening. There's so much happening.
Yeah, but man,
the fight with Ghidorah was cool, but
Lashie,
like
sometimes you just need to turn your brain off and let them fight. Let them fight. Godzilla. He just says it so good.
it's very good. Yes.
Ugh, I love it.
And then he died.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Maybe not stand around in lava and get out of there.
That usually helps. Well, we did it, bud. I think we fixed Godzilla.
Yes.
The true fix is just not making this movie. This movie really shouldn't have been made.
Respecting the source material just a little bit more.
Like this movie is truly offensive in that it had. We've watched a lot of pretty bad movies, but none of those movies up to this point had such a strong pedigree to pick from, or to mine from.
That's true.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think you can make the argument that D&D did, but not necessarily from a cinematic perspective.
I was going to say, cinematic perspective, sure. I was just thinking from just straight lore and what they could have done. Also, I think Catwoman is up there with this.
I would agree.
Because like, what?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
Both like you just made your own Catwoman. You just made your own Godzilla.
Yeah.
But why?
Yeah.
Because we already have one.
You just made your own Morbius. These movies feel like this to me. Madam Web feels like this to me.
Ooh. Well, we haven't seen Madam Web yet.
I understand, but I don't know.
Maybe another trailer comes out.
Well, we did it. We did it. Look at us go. I think you I feel like you're starting to clue in on what makes Godzilla tick.
Yes.
Okay. And honestly, that's what I wanted to walk away from this episode.
Yeah.
Is it our strongest fix ever? No, but I needed to heal Adam's heart when it came to Godzilla. Because he's our protector.
Apparently.
He's our protector.
Yeah.
I've been saying that all day.
You have been saying
but
it
Adam,
all
he's our
day.
protector.
I was like, cool, Jay.
He truly loves us. Okay?
I guess, yeah.
Godzilla loves us and wants us to be happy.
He just wants us to be happy.
He just wants us to be happy. It's safe. Godzilla says, wear your helmet. All right, kids?
And stop polluting the damn planet.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This is your brain on drugs. This is your brain on
Godzilla.
All right, well, we did it. What are we recording next week, man? What's the episode next week?
We're doing Home Alone 3.
Oh, we're doing Home Alone 3.
Home Alone 3.
We're writing an actual Home Alone 3.
We're gonna write
Kevin McAllister Home Alone 3.
Yes.
Okay.
I already know what I'm doing.
No, it's perfect. The watch along can be Home Alone 2 because we just did Home Alone 1. It'll be fun.
Oh, did you? Oh, you did, didn't you?
Yeah, just for fun. I just felt like it'd be fun. Well, no, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, how did Christmas Vacation watch along go?
It went great. Everyone, you know what? That movie it stands up, but we were all like, boy, this is where the part where where this I was like, oh, this movie is aggressively 80s, isn't it? Yep. And then the aunt shows up with dementia, and then the cat. I was like, hey, this isn't funny, guys. Please, this isn't funny. Can we just stop making jokes at killing cats?
Because the
aunt?
cat lights the tree on fire.
No, the cat. So
lights itself on fire and then lights the tree
pulls
on fire.
it pulls the lights out of the socket, and then Clark plugs it back in, hence killing the cat.
Oh.
For comedic effect, which is not funny.
Sorry.
And then the uncle smokes next to the tree, and
then that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that was fun.
Everything up to that part was great, and then afterwards was also fine.
When he gets jelly, come on. Now.
That's great. Yeah,
that's awesome.
all the skating. All the stuff, yeah.
Man, was there anyone better than Chevy Chase? It's a shame he's a total monster of a human being.
Maybe Godzilla should fight him.
What?
Let them fight.
Let them fight. All right.
I tried to bring it back, Jay.
So next week we'll be doing writing a Kevin McAllister led
Home Alone 3.
Can't wait. And returning to like our old format. Too.
Yes, we will both have this. I feel more comfortable. I already have an idea
Look,
for
it's
what
been the holidays. We've been cranking these episodes out.
We have been cranking.
It's
We've
a
been
fire
good,
hose, baby.
We have
Embrace
been
the fire hose.
good crank boys.
On that note, heard it here first.
Jay,
From Crank
the
Boy
episode.
1 and Crank Boy 2.
Jay,
As we end every single one of these episodes, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
it's the slow that you don't see coming. Because your eyes are like, because
Yep.
you pulled your whole mouth hole open, so you can't really
Absolutely.
see it because you're looking somewhere else.
These Crank Boys will see you guys next week. Bye.